Picasso was born on October 25th, 1881. Pablo was a famous Spanish painter and sculptor. He has two sisters named Lola and Conchetta. Conchetta died when she was just 7. His family was devastated. Pablo did not let that get him down though, so he kept painting. Sadly, he died of congestive heart failure in 1973.
Pablo's dad was an art teacher. He showed Pablo new ways to paint. Cubism is the one he liked most. Cubism is where you see someone from two different angles. His most famous painting was from Cubism. It's called Ganucha.
Pablo's first sketch was inspired by his housekeeper and her daughter. It shows when the housekeeper is walking her daughter. This is also Cubism. Pablo made some of the sketch with black oil paint. He sketched it on old pieces of paper. First Steps also has a street value of $179 million.
Did you know that Picasso inspired Salvador Dali? Pablo's life is very interesting. I hope you want to look at some of his paintings.
Hello, my name is Canva Cynthia. I am painted by Andy Warhol in 1962 using pop art.
Hi, my name is Andy Warhol, and I was born on August 6, 1928, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Did you know that my real name is Andy Andrew Warhol? Andy asked his friend for a suggestion of subject to paint. In fact, it was a friend that actually came up with the idea to paint something that everybody originally liked, the canvas soup can.
My mother encouraged me and I was doing my paintings. At an early age, I started having some strange medical problems. First, I started getting nervous and shaky. Then I started losing my skin color. Andy bought pans from the store and began tracing projections on a canvas. He is very malicious, hoping to copy the mechanically reproduced look of the link on his gallery, like actual cans and grocery stores.
The style of art I used was called pop art. The pop art came from the word Pablo. Pop art was a style of that when he used bright colors and painting things in regular life. The main way I painted with pop art was with silk screening, which is when you drew a picture and right before it dried, I would put it on another piece of paper to make the line look neater. I would copy it a lot of times. When I made mistakes, I never went back to fix them. And the reason I did that was to prove that no one is perfect and everyone makes mistakes.
I started getting paid for making soup can signs for stores. And I started making signs for store windows. In 1962, I created 82 canvas soup cans and put them in different separate frames representing the 32 different types of flavors. When I was 29 year my 30th birthday, I did a cosmetic surgery for my nose because it was the only part of my body I didn't like. Also, when I was in my 20s, I adopted my iconic gray hair look. I bet you didn't know that my hair was really a wig because my father was bald and he ended up being bald too, and he had wigs and me.
I died in New York High School from irregular heartbeat in 1987, February 22nd.
Grant Wood was an artist. He was born in the Midwestern part of the United States in Anamosa, Iowa, in 1891 with his sister. Grant Wood paintings showed how he loved the Midwest. He especially loved farmland. During the time, other artists like Curry and Benton began painting pictures of the Midwestern regions. That is how this style of art became known as regionalism. His style of art is characterized by making simple scenes of the land. Grant was at a young age when he started to draw with burnt sticks his mother gave him to play with. Everybody thought that he would take after his father and become a farmer. Then when he was 10 years old, his dad died. It was very sad for him. His mom decided that she could not take care of the farm and the animals. So his mom and sister moved to a city called the Cedar Rapids. After he grew up, he had lots of jobs. An example of one is that in World War I, he painted tanks and camouflage paint.
Then in 1930, Grant was looking around where he lived. He found a farmhouse that had an unusual window that resembled the style of regionalism. He thought that a father and daughter standing in front of the house would make a good painting. He thought his dentist and his sister would be perfect as the models for the farmer and daughter for the painting. Can you guess what he called it? It was the most famous painting, American Gothic.
After painting it, he entered into a big show at the Institute of Chicago. American Gothic won third place, and everybody liked it. In 1934, he began making lots of large stained glass windows. Then in 1942, Grant died right before his 51st birthday. He died in the hospital because of pancreatic cancer.
Boom. Cut.
My artist is Salvador Dali. Salvador Dali was born May 11th, 1904, and he died January 23rd, 1989. He is the second son, and Mr. and Mrs. Dali's first son died, and they treated the new Salvador like the first one. His most famous painting is The Persistence of Memory. Did you know that Pablo Picasso inspired Salvador Dali to paint? Salvador Dali died of heart disease and pneumonia.
The style that my artist uses is surrealism. Surrealism is dedicated to expressing the imagination as revealed in dreams, such as when Salvador Dali had a weird dream. Also, surrealism is free of the conscious control of reason and conversation. Also, realism is based on real life but altered. Also, surrealism means realism.
The painting that my group is doing is Salvador Dali's Dream. Salvador Dali's Dream was painted in 1931. The reason that Salvador Dali painted the dream is because he had a weird dream one night.
Another fact about the dream
is the main female feature in the foreground is the same woman's head that can be seen in the background of the painting from the previous year. The fountain. The last fact is ants, which were for Dali's
Symbolic.
of a death and
Decay.
crawl all over her.
Hi, I'm the river of the Grand Chate, and I was painted by this guy.
Hi, I am George Swart. I painted this painting. It took me 2 years to paint this painting.
Yeah, it took him 2 years to paint me. Seurat died on March 29, 1891 in Paris. After a brief illness, was most likely of an illness, pneumonia or meningitis. He was buried in the Père-Lachaise cemetery in Paris. He was survived by common law wife Madeleine Nabloch. Their son Pierre George Seurat died a month later. Then they found out he had tuberculosis.
The style that it did was pointillism. Pointillism is anti-Semitic. I'm the actual person who created pointillism.
Pointillism is hard to work with because it takes some time, but you need to be in the right mood because he wasn't in the right mood to paint this whole thing in 1 day or 2 weeks. He just wasn't in the right mood every single day to paint this, so that's why it took him 2 years. He finished this painting in 1806. It took 60 sketches. This painting method utilizes colors and patches that essentially trick the human eye into blending them, creating luminance and shape. In 1889, Seurat stretched the canvas to allow for room to paint the border made up of red, orange, and blue dots. The opportunity to view the historic painting returned in 1924. Art lover Frederick Lloyd Bartlett purchased a Sunday on the La Grande Chate, 1884, and loaned it identically to the Art Institute of Chicago.
Trevor.
Le premier flash. Henry Wilbur et 1804.
People don't at the beyond doesn't get back to art.
A visit was bound for painting and pictures of struggles. When he was right up, he only liked art and music and school.
Maybe
Liked
paint
in a greenhouse.
greenhouse.
Everybody loves
Love
the colors
colors
Henry used.
heavy.
Doesn't
Never
never been
to
to
the jungle.
the
You learn to paint
learn to
from going
go
to gardens
garden
and zoos.
and zoos.
One.
Hi, my name is Frida Kahlo. I was born in Coyoacán, Mexico in 1907. I died in 1954.
I was 47 years old when I died. I got married to Diego Revere. When I was younger, I was in a lot of pain.
I was sick with a disease called polio. When I was 6, also my right leg was thin and weak. I painted 200 paintings during my life.
Diego is more than 20 years older than I was. I got into a very bad bus accident when I was 18 years old. A metal handrail went into my stomach and it forever changed my life.
The style art I did with the painting today is called symbolism.
Symbolism is emphasis on emotions, feelings, and ideas rather than realism.
The painting is called Self-Portrait with thorn necklace and a hummingbird.
I painted this picture when I was 33 years old.
The hummingbird means black and lifeless.
I felt the same way. I was in so much pain I felt like I was going to die.
The thorn necklace means pain. I was in a lot of pain.
My expression means calm and solemn in the painting I did today.
Hello, my name is Claude Monet. I was born in Paris, France in 1840.
Monet was inspired by pictures of water, scenes of the oceans, lakes, boats, and ponds.
I had my own boat that I used as a studio. I kept a lot of my supplies in this boat.
An artist that inspired me was Eugene Boudin. He talked me into using paint and creating my work outside.
The name of the style of art that Monet created is called Impressionism. A newspaperman called Monet and his friends Impressionists.
Up close, the paintings look like a bunch of colorful brush strokes. However, if you step back, you can see the picture that I'm trying to create.
I am Venice Twilight. Monet painted me in 1908. The building in the back is a church in Venice, Italy.
By the way, I am the real painting.
No, I'm the real painter.
It doesn't matter because I'm the best looking.
Are you kidding me? You think you look good? Talk about me.
No, I'm the real painter.
Huzzah! I told you I was a real Claude Monet. He lived in Zunder, which is the Netherlands.
When he was growing up, he thought he may want to be a teacher or even a preacher like his dad. He helped a lot of poor people. He changed his mind and decided to become an artist. The first things he drew or painted were dark and sad, like the poor people he had helped. One day, he found a Japanese painting and he asked the artist, "What are these bright colors?" The artist responded that it's called yellow, red, blue, and green. From that point on, Van Gogh's paintings were much more colorful.
When Vincent got older, he moved to France to be near his brother Theo. There he met other artists that inspired him. Some of them are Gauguin, Pissarro, Monet, and Bernard. Later he moved to a small country town called Arles. He thought this would be a great place for artists to get together to share their ideas. The only artist to do this was Paul Gauguin. Unfortunately, it didn't work out well, and Gauguin returned to Paris. Vincent van Gogh painted during the post-impressionism period. He created a style called impasto. Impasto is a technique of layering paint on very thickly so that it stands out. One major characteristic of his artwork is that he paints with lines.
What is interesting about Van Gogh is that people in the 1880s and 1890s just weren't into Van Gogh's paintings. Now his paintings are very popular and expensive. Another interesting fact is that Vincent used so much paint that he often ran out. Sometimes he would buy paint instead of using his money for food, so he went hungry a lot of the time. He was so hungry that some stories say he ate the paint.
Van Gogh's most famous painting is Starry Night. The painting we have recreated is called The Red Vineyard. This is the only painting that Vincent Van Gogh ever sold while he was alive. He sold it for about $1,000. Here is a sampling of his work. This is The Red Vineyard. The Red Vineyard is the only painting he ever sold. This is a painting of Vincent Van Gogh that he made by himself.
This is Starry Night, his most famous painting. Our artist is Reine Magritte. He was born on November 21st, 1898. And also he was born in Lessenes, Belgium. He was a very weird artist and still is. He used his imagination to paint, and that is called surrealism.
Did you know that Reine Magritte got married to Georgette? And she was also very interested in art, just like Reine Magritte. She also worked at an art supply store and that came in handy.
Reine Magritte went to many different states. He went to Brazil, to Paris, and France to join surrealist artists. There, Reine Magritte's paintings were very weird and out of place, like the lamp of philosophy.
Reine Magritte died in 1967. He was 68 years old. Does that sound young? He was a very good artist and everyone enjoyed his work.
Hi, I'm Renee Magritte. I'm a surreal artist, which means my art is out of place and sometimes it's very weird. Being a surreal artist means I paint what I dream or what I imagine. One of my paintings is The Listening Room. It sounds creepy, but it's just a big apple and a tiny room, so don't worry. The Listening Room is a weird painting, just like the rest of my paintings.
So I think that is it
for now.
Yeah, so go make sure to see us at the Talking Art Museum.
Bye!
Bye!
Leonardo da Vinci was born in a small Italy town of Vinci in 1452. When Leonardo was a boy, it was called the time of Renaissance. Leonardo was also an artist, a musician, sculptor, scientist, inventor, and a math mechanic. Leonardo wrote all his notes backwards so that no one would steal his secrets.
Oh, Sophia, Leonardo da Vinci was a Renaissance painter. Renaissance is painting, sculpture, and decorative arts of period in European history. Leonardo used science and nature to make his painting look real.
I'm Salvador Mundi, which means Savior of the World in English. I am the most expensive painting in the world. I was painted near the same time as the Mona Lisa. After I was painted, 20 other copies of me were made of me.
It took experts only 500 years to decide that I was the real thing, not a copy. I was just sold about 2 months ago for a record of $450 million.
Our artist is Mary Cassatt. Mary was born in Edgewood, Pennsylvania. She was born on May 22nd, 1844, and died on June 14, 1926.
When Mary was 7 years old, her family left America and moved to Paris, France, for a couple of years. Her parents took the kids to museums, where Mary was first inspired by the artwork that she saw. Her family moved back to the United States. As she grew up, Mary realized that she wanted to become an artist. So her father sent her to art school. She went to Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. There were very few paintings by great artists at the time, in America at the time. So in 1866, she decided to return to France. She spent as much time as she could in art museums copying famous paintings. Mary Cassatt was becoming a pretty good artist, so she entered one of her paintings in the Paris Salon. In 1872, the first of Mary's paintings on the balcony was accepted by Salon. They later accepted 4 more paintings.
In 1877, Mary's mother, father, and sister Lydia came to live with her in Paris. Her brothers and their families would visit Mary too. She ended up using them as models in her film.
Mary was inspired by mothers and their children as models. She liked to paint people doing everything every day, and she was also inspired by the Impression.
A group of artists called Impressionism were painting in new ways that didn't follow the rules of the Paris Salon. One of them, Edward Gued, asked Mary to join the Impressionism group. Mary loved the bright colors and painting. She was most inspired by the work that Edward Gibbons created, and they began to experiment with different types of art. The style of art Mary Cassatt created is called American Impressionism. The style and characteristics of her artwork include soft pastels, strong shapes, or bright colors. Her paintings are warm and friendly.
2 interesting facts we learned about Mary Cassatt was that she was invited to make a huge room for the Women's Building at the Chicago World Fair in 1892.
Another interesting fact about her is that she often painted models and children because she couldn't have children of her own. Mary Cassatt has famous paintings, but 2 that stand out is called Little Girl in a Blue Armchair and the Bow.
We have recreated Mother and Child on Water. It is also called Summertime. She painted in the summer of 1894. It was made in the Impressionism style. This is a good example of Mary Cassatt's artwork. If you look closely, you can see how Mary used little flecks of color to make eyes, noses, and to capture delicate expression in people's faces. Any questions?